Ed Valley. Welcome to episode 141 of the Rock and Roll Research Podcast, where we share the super cool backstories and side gigs of the insights and analytics pros that you trust. Well, you see, our guest, if you're watching this on video, our guest is into the energy, right? So we're getting started. He may be familiar to you. A lot of people may know Dr. Ed Dobbles, who's today's guest. He was on the client side of this industry for a long time. In leadership roles and insights and analytics departments. This is how I met him. Many of us had to face him. He was a tough customer, demanding, very high standards, but fair and super smart. But he has worked for great companies like Best Buy, Supervalu, H&R Block, and most recently in the spirits category with Diageo. And in fact, Ed has recently stepped into the supplier side, working for a startup, a really cool startup called Overproof, very disruptive. I'll let Ed tell you all about it, but he's the chief analytics officer. It sounds like a great company. He's doing really cool stuff. I'm not surprised. Now, here's something that's really interesting that a lot of people don't know about Ed, and we'll dig into this too. Outside of work, Ed has long been a volunteer EMT in New York City, no less, right? So I'm sure there's a lot of great stories coming from that, and really appreciate your time volunteering and helping out the community at large. We'll get into all that and more on today's podcast. Welcome to the show, Ed.
Matt, it's freaking awesome to be here. So glad to be talking to you today. And yes, it is karma that I'm back. I'm now on the supplier side. So anything I ever did bad to anyone on the other side of the fence, I'm getting it back now. So it's a great learning experience.
I will say that I was very intimidated by you when I started. I had a client side background. I was a researcher by trade and training. That's why they brought me into this role, because they said we really need a good researcher to handle Best Buy because they know their stuff and you can't BS them. So I was intimidated, but the team was amazing. It's still to this day like one of the most engaged and sharpest teams I've ever worked with. And I have a really cool story. Somewhere along the line, I'll tell it about Best Buy. That was back in 2002. But
can't wait to hear it.
Yeah,
I'm a little nervous, but can't wait.
Now, before we jump in, I do want to say a couple words about Magic Mind, which is this great product that I take every morning. I take it with my son, Nelson. It's a mental performance shot, gives me this calm energy for the day, lowers my stress levels, makes me chill, provides me all the energy that I need heading into the day. I've been doing it for a long time now. Take it every day. It works for me, might work for you. So check it out, www.magicmind.com/RNRLT. You can get a really nice discount on that site for one-time use or even better, subscription. So works for me, could work for you. Check it out, Magic Mind. All right, Ed.
By the way, I can't wait to try it out because my morning routine involves slamming two Diet Dr. Peppers at 5 a.m. So it's got to be better than that, right?
It's got to be better than that, for sure. I'm just feeling gut rot now that you just told me that. That sounds like my high school diet. Anyway, okay. So Ed, how did you first get into insights in the first place? I mean, it's been a while.
Yeah, so a million years ago, believe it or not, I went to Michigan State and I got a BA in advertising.
Okay.
And I went through the advertising program at Michigan State, and I learned, like all freshmen, there are four areas of advertising. There's your creatives, your account execs, your media people, your research people. And I found out pretty damn quickly that I was nowhere near creative enough to be a creative. I had nowhere near the people skills to be an account exec. So that left the numbers. And thankfully, I wasn't afraid of the numbers. So I could actually do numbers and not be freaked out about it. And so I explored both media and research and ended up in research. And it's like, it's one of those things you're like, wow, I never thought I'd end up here, but look at me now.
Yeah, yeah, super cool. And was Best Buy your first foray into the space?
My first foray, I graduated with a degree. After undergrad, I went on to grad school, got a master's in marketing research from Wisconsin, and
Oh, yeah, the Nielsen program.
yeah, the Nielsen program, and all
Yeah,
my friends went to really cool places like General Mills and Pepsi,
yeah.
Quaker Oats, and all the big name places. And I went to Mercury Marine in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. And I worked my way through the single A, double A, and triple A ball of research, eventually ending up at
Love it.
Best Buy and some other big name places.
Oh, that's so cool. So, yeah, like I said, it was 2002, I started at NFO. Best Buy was the account they hired me for. Like I said, I was intimidated by you. You just kind of had an aura and a presence, right? But it wasn't so bad. Worked on some.
I was kind of an asshole back then, so
Yeah,
I
there
can
was a
believe
little bit
that.
of that. There was a little bit of that, right? So, but what was really cool about it was the work that was being done. It was really innovative. And I was pulled into a number of projects that you were working on with McKinsey. And so I was asked, we'll give you this business, but you have to work McKinsey hours. I'm like, I'm young, sure, I got no problem. Let's do it. It was very rewarding, very cool stuff. There was one day in 2002. This is my story. So I pull up to the Best Buy headquarters, and just a quick frame up here. There was a super cool company of tech support folks based in the Twin Cities, and it was called the Geek Squad, right? And what set these guys apart is they drove around in these really awesome refurbished vintage cars. So a lot of Volkswagen Beetles, but a lot of stuff from the 60s, right? Kind of seemed to be the vibe. And they had a garage in Minneapolis where they worked on these cars. It was like somehow central to the business. But the people who worked for the company is so cool that people who worked for Geek Squad, they never took their shirts off, right? So I was hanging out at this coffee shop in Minneapolis called Bob's Java Hut, so a real hipster place. And then, after, 6 o'clock or whatever, the Geek Squad people would come in, still wearing their jerseys. They wear them all night long. But one day I pull up to the Best Buy headquarters, 2002, and I can see it, Geek Squad stretch limo, like a 1960s Lincoln Continental stretch limo that was flanked on the front and the back by two other vintage cars.
That's
Pulls
awesome.
up to the front door, and all this pomp and circumstance. So the driver gets out, and he's got a chauffeur cap on, opens the back door. The founder comes out, they follow like a procession into the front door. And I'm like, what is happening here? And then a couple days later, the announcement is that Best Buy bought Geek Squad.
That's
So I
awesome.
was so happy to have actually witnessed that whole scene. It was just the coolest thing.
That is the coolest thing. Although I have to tell you, with your story there, uh, I try not to take off my shirt no matter what. Also, and I wasn't at a cool company like Geek Squad. Like you don't want me to take this off. That's a terrible idea. So I get that they got pride of company, but also a lot of us don't want to take the shirt off.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I should mention that the Geek Squad logo was prominently featured on the shirt. So, but
Excellent.
yeah. Anyway. Okay. Cool. So then, super value, and then, how long have you been working in the spirit space? And then tell us about this cool company you're at now.
Yeah, so I went from Best Buy to Supervalu, which was a grocery store chain, to
Yeah.
H&R Block, and then I got a call out of the blue from a headhunter, and they said, "Hey, do you want to work for a liquor industry?" And my first response was, "Are you punking me? Is it like this is one of my friends playing a joke on me? I'm the tax person I'm working for a tax company in Kansas City, and a liquor company in New York City wants me to work for him." I'm like, "Hell yeah, I want to do that." Uh, like and I think one of the reasons why I got the job is I love the liquor industry.
Yeah.
So in my basement in Kansas City, I had a speakeasy. We had a room with
Nice.
like a hidden room behind a bookcase. We had a great bar. I had like 100 bottles of spirits from all over the world in there. We had a karaoke stage with lighting, and like these guys are
Wow.
like this is the guy we want. I'm like, God bless. And I had to move from Kansas City to New York City for this job.
Yeah.
And I was in New York City for 5 years. I'm getting ready to move back to Minnesota right now, but I was in New York City for about 5.5 years, and loved it. I love the liquor industry. It's just interesting. There's a million interesting things about it. I do the
Sure.
same things as I did when I was at H&R Block or Supervalu. Just amazingly, people are a lot more interested in talking to me in the liquor about the liquor industry than they are about
For
taxes.
sure. For sure.
And so I'm thrilled to get an opportunity to stay in this. And the company I work for is a company called Overproof. Overproof is this amazing analytics company. They've been capturing menus off the internet for about 3 years. And most people think about a menu as this is what I can like order for dinner tonight. And Overproof, the founder of Overproof, had the insight to go, no, that's a database. Think of all the things
Yeah.
that's on that menu. Here's all the food, here's all the spirits, here's the beer, here's the wine, here's the price, here's how it all goes together. And we capture menus from about 60% of the outlets in the US and other places
Wow.
around the world. And we get to do all kinds of cool shit with it. Like I know how often people change their menus. I have predictive models that tell me which outlets are most likely to change, which outlets are going to be receptive to different things. And this is coming up. I wish I would have had it for you to do the breaking news. But in our latest model, we're updating THC cocktails. And we're going to be able
Ah,
to point out like the growth of THC cocktails and how
yeah.
it's done over time. Like my joke on that one is that's going to get me a blurb in like Wall Street Journal or something because people are going to want that information.
For sure. For sure. I mean, that category has exploded so fast. It's unbelievable. I go to the big liquor store outlets and
Yeah.
they've taken over an entire aisle with all of these brand new products. And that's but still, there's more mystery around the on-premise, which is
Yes.
kind of where you're focused, right?
Yeah, no, it's true. So there's for every liquor store in the U.S., there are about four bars and restaurants, and the liquor stores are covered by traditional things like Nielsen or other folks. Uh,
Sure.
and bars and restaurant, it's just a big black hole. There's just
Yeah.
not a lot of information out there on that, and so we're one of the first people to really get in there and dig in and do something with it.
Yeah, that's super exciting. And it's the kind of company that just wasn't even possible a few years ago, right?
I
So,
know. And the what I'd also tell you about it is back to the karma going from being on the supplier side to the or from the client side to the supplier side. I've
yeah.
learned a couple of lessons like, oh, okay, I got to take that call at 8 o'clock at night if I have to. That's karma coming back to
Yeah.
bite me. And you get that. And the other thing is, and we'll get into this with the AI side of things, my last couple companies, I've had 15, 20, 30 people working for me. There was always capacity that I could like move around work. And
Yeah.
I used to always think, oh, we're pretty strapped. Now it's me and two people. And like that's all we got. And so you have to get creative about AI and have to get creative about how you do things because otherwise you're going to die. It's just crazy how tough it is. So yeah, you learn a lot. Necessity is the mother of invention.
Yeah. It's so funny too. I just think about so you've been in a leadership role at, big research buyers for so long. I just think how many thousands of spreadsheets and prospect lists that you've been on over the years. Your name has shown up everywhere, I'm sure. Everyone
It's
going,
it's I do love it now. I get calls from like those conferences, the I call them the timeshare conferences where they're like, yeah, we'll pay for everything. You just got to sit through a bunch of client pitches
yeah,
and a bunch of
yeah.
pitches. And I'm like, well, just I'm one of those people now. They're like, oh no, we don't talk to you anymore. They hang up on me. But yeah, it is awesome. Um, but I will tell you this: the best thing that I loved about Diageo. So I love the category. The category is great, and if you're going to work for somebody, you better love what you do because I spend more time doing my job than I spend with my wife.
Yeah.
And so you better love what you do. And I love the alcohol industry. It's just interesting. So many interesting things. I walk into Total Wine and I'm like, oh, there's so many
Yeah.
things I could buy. It's the same way I used to feel about Best Buy, that you walk into a Best Buy and you're like, oh, look at all this great stuff. It's
Yeah.
awesome. So I love what I do. And one of the things I loved about Diageo is they always used to say, the best thing about Diageo is they don't tell you what to do. And the worst thing about Diageo is they don't tell you what to do. And you
Yeah.
and you had to be flexible to
Yeah.
deal with that stuff. And if I thought Diageo was extreme about that, working in startup is
Yeah.
even more extreme. It's just like,
For sure.
okay, what are you going to do today? Well, let's see. What am I going to cook up today? Let's go. So it's just so much fun. It really is.
Yeah, super cool. So tell me about so this other interesting thing, a volunteer EMT. So how did you get involved in that and tell me about that experience?
Well, I'll give you a couple answers. First off, anybody who's ever worked with me knows this. You know this. You may not have put the words to it, but you know this. I am extreme ADD.
Yeah.
I I am all over the board. And ADD people have a couple characteristics. I like to think about ADD as the ability to have hyper focus. So I don't think of it as a deficit disorder. I think about it as sporadic focus disorder. Like I can like really
Sure.
get into something. And what's my entire career, that's been great because I can get totally deep into my industry and I can learn all there is to know about it and I can love every bit of it. So when I was at H&R Block, I was a tax pro for a year and I did taxes for a year.
Yeah.
And then when I went to Diageo, I had some extra time during COVID. I started my doctoral program, got my doctorate. And
Yes.
then as I was writing my dissertation, my final 2 semesters of writing it, my advisor comes to like December and she goes back to Korea for 2 months. She said, yeah, we're not going to do any work on your dissertation for 2 months. Now, the dissertation process and the academic process, man, I could have done stuff a lot quicker. If we existed on like business time as opposed to academic time, we could have banged this thing out pretty quick. It
Yeah.
took 2 years. It took 2 years the way I did it. But in that 2 month time period, I'm like, well, I got a lot more time suddenly in my hands. And I always wanted to be an EMT. My daughter ran cross country and a kid collapsed in front of me one time and his heart stopped. I had an undiagnosed heart
Oh,
issue. And I was like, I don't know what to do. And that dude that drove you nuts at Best Buy, but like, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this. I didn't know what to do. And so
yeah.
from that day on, I thought, man, I should take EMT classes so I could be a little bit more prepared when that happens. It turned out, by the way, the kid was fine. I did do the right thing. I screamed loudly.
Yeah.
And got somebody who actually had skills attention. They got him to the hospital. I heard he was fine. So, like, don't think this is a bad story. But I had this time. I had this 2 month time period, and so I took an EMT class online, and then I did a week's worth of clinicals in Minneapolis, and I became an EMT. And then I
Wow.
started I started volunteering. I started volunteering in a couple different towns in New Jersey, and turned out I really love it. I mean, like what I tell you about it is this: EMT is made for ADD people because mostly what you do is you sit around. You sit around,
Yeah.
and then suddenly you get a call, and you're 5 minutes away from who knows what. You have like a little blurb on your phone that says altered mental state. You're like, well, that could be this, 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 and this. And you drive really fast, and then you have to diagnose what's going on. You have to make a decision quickly, and then you go. And that's
Yeah.
what it's all about. And you have to do it while you're doing that analysis. You have to take care of people too, and you have to
Yeah.
like connect with people. And so that's really exciting. And the other thing I love about it, there's so many things that are great. But I could tell some good stories. I'll give you a story or two. But the other thing I love about it is I work with a lot of young people. Turns out a lot of EMTs are younger. We have 18-year-old cadets trying to get their customer or their patient time in before they go to med school, and I get
Ah,
to teach them, and that's been very rewarding as well. So the end-to-end experience of being an EMT. The only other thing I'll tell you about it, it's not like you see on TV. It's not sexy. I am not a Chicago hottie.
good cool kid. I don't know.
But But most of the time, what you do is you're taking care of somebody who's sick who just needs to go to the hospital. There, there are very few lives out of all my calls where I thought, well, I made a material difference in their life. Something like I made a difference. I got into the hospital a lot of times. There's a couple times where, oh shit, like I better drive fast or I got to do stuff. Those are the
Yeah.
times where you're like, well, I'm glad I was there for that person. I'm glad I was there for everybody, but there's sometimes where you're like, I'm really glad I was there for that person.
Yeah. Yeah. So you said a lot of time sitting around, and I suppose most calls are just very minor, nothing going on. But any interesting stories that come to mind as you think about?
So we did get. I'll give you one of my fun calls. We got a call. 70-year-old woman, altered mental state. And they comes in like somebody calls in 911 and this is what they tell you. And then you have 5 minutes as you're driving to the location to say, what could it be? And you think, 7-year-old woman, altered mental state, you worry about a stroke. And a stroke is an important thing. By the way, here's a little PSA. If you start feeling weird, if you have weakness on one side of your body, if you see your partner or something start to droop on one side, you want to get them to the hospital within 1 hour. That's the magic hour. If you get them to the hospital in 1 hour, it's going to make a material difference in their outcome. So if you see something weird, or suddenly they're weak, particularly on one side, they can't hold both arms up equally, get them to the hospital because minutes equal brain cells. And so don't, take care of your people. So we're rushing to the scene thinking that this could be a stroke. And I get there and I do an immediate assessment, check the woman's blood pressure. Her blood pressure is better than mine. I'm like, that's kind of weird. Normally you'd expect me high blood pressure. I do the stroke assessment. No, she's not showing any of the classic signs of stroke. And right as the paramedics come up, the advanced medical authority, her friend goes, I think she took one of these. I turn around and she had gummies for the first time. And I'm like, oh, this explains a lot. Okay. It's like I wave off the paramedic saying, we got this. And the funny thing is, her brother's a doctor, her son is a doctor. They're on the phone. They're rushing to the hospital because they're assuming the same thing that I am, that this woman's having a stroke. And I'm like, I know. Like, they're like, they want to talk to you. And I'm like, okay, well, your sister/mom is not having a stroke. It seems like she had a gummy, an edible for the first time, and she's a little weirded out. And they're like, what is what do you have to do for somebody who's having a marijuana overdose? Well, let me tell you, they cover a lot of stuff in EMT school, but they don't cover marijuana. First-time marijuana users in EMT school. They cover like childbirth, cut your leg off. They cut you like those things. For marijuana, that's not actually an emergency, really. And so I'm checking down now to like, I'm old. I'm 55 years old. I'm like, well, what would my stoner friends say? Well, you should hydrate. That hydrate's always a good call. What else? Somebody should watch her. That's another good thing she should do now. What else? Somebody should swing by Wawa and pick up some chips, and she should watch the Lego movie. I don't know.
Satisfy the munchies.
I'm like, this is hilarious. I'm like, you guys are doctors. Like, I had 2 months of training before they drew me this. So let me assure you, we didn't have an in-depth marijuana session in that 2 months. It's like, yeah, marijuana. It's something they could take. That's about it. That was the extent. And so, yeah, it's stuff like that that's just hilarious. Like you get some things like that, but mostly what it is, like my favorite calls, somebody's fallen out of bed at 2 a.m. and they just need help getting back up into bed. Great. I love those calls.
Yeah.
You make somebody's life better.
Yep.
It's not emergent. I don't have to stress that somebody's going to die on me or something like that.
Yeah.
Just get them back in the bed. Hey, you need some water? You need anything else? Cool. Go back to sleep. and then I go back to sleep. It's great.
Awesome. That's so cool. That's so cool. Really neat. And there's such an interesting connection as you're explaining, like the quick diagnosis. Now I could start to see how it's got shares some things in common with like an insights role or an analytics role, right? Especially as business moves faster and faster, it's like, hey, that kind of sounds like my job.
Yeah,
So,
it really is. And that's the way I think about it. I have to train people. I have to train
yeah,
the cadets. I have to communicate. I have to make decisions quickly.
yeah,
Uh, and and it gives you perspective too. But like, I've had bad days at work, but nobody's gonna die. Like if I screw up at Diageo or I screw up at Overproof, somebody might not get the cocktail they want at the right time. Ain't
yeah,
nobody gonna die.
yeah.
That's the way I think about it. So it gives you a little perspective. The other one I'll give you is when I was at H&R Block, I was actually a tax pro too for a year. So I worked my corporate job from 6 a.m. till noon, and then from 1 until 9 o'clock at night, I did tax returns. And it was the exact same thing.
Yeah,
People would come in, they'd bring you a stack of paper, just like a client brings you a bunch of stuff and says, we got to figure this out. You shuffle through it, you figure out the answer, and in 1 hour, you're like, here's the answer. Here's what you should, and you send them on their
yeah,
way. It was the same process. So I guess what I'd say is I am who I am. My
yeah,
brain is wired towards like these types of things. I like telling stories. I like figuring things out. I'm chronically ADD, so I like to make decisions quickly.
yeah,
It just works really well.
yeah. Cool, cool. Now you did something that was really novel at some point last year on LinkedIn. There was some use case that you were interested in for AI. So we're going to shift gears here.
Perfect.
And I thought it was really neat. It was, hey, this is what I want to do. Does anyone have experience with this? Does this sound familiar? Who can help me? Right. And so many people piled on, we do this, we do this, we do that, da, 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 da. And I remember, just like a couple months later, you posted, yep, got it all solved and it's all set and it's working great. And here's the supplier I used and they did an awesome job. It was so cool. And it was such a really good and powerful use case for AI. I won't get into it right here, but um, I am interested to know, since you're really kind of at the forefront of things, and especially with Overproof as well, when you look at the future of insights, what do you see? What does it look like?
So there's a couple things here. So AI is going to make everything quicker and easier.
Uh-huh.
But what I love about folks like you is the things that AI can't do. Now, AI may help all of us do things a little faster, but that spark, that intuitive jump from point A to point Z, AI can't do that.
Right.
AI can and does an amazing job at a whole host of things. I'll give you a couple examples, and I'll tell you about the example that you called out for me. So I built an AI system to send out a podcast every day to my team of industry news. It captures the news of the day. It writes a podcast script based on that. It records the podcast script with two voices and music and everything. It emails it out to all the recipients, and it stores it on a website for me. All that happens without me touching it. That's amazing. But what I need my people to do is take that information and take that easily consumed information and think about it in a different way. And so when Krista on my team says, you know what? One of my clients is struggling with that issue. I know how to go sell them. That's when I've done my job. Or when somebody goes, we're about to go sell breakthrough beverage, and they were just in the news about this. Now they have better information that was delivered to them that they didn't have to sort through all the news of the day to do that. But it takes, the routine stuff. I can take that off people's plates, but I still need the creative minds. I need people to do stuff that I never would have thought of to take that leap to go to the next level. That's where magic happens, and AI can't do that magic. I can make things easier. I can set the table, but I need AI to do. I need people to do real stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Here. That's awesome. So I'm very curious to know, you mentioned your ADD, and I love the example of the podcast, right? Which is media, as is this. And I know you're a super busy person. You always have been. But we all still consume media, right? So as you think about what media is earning your time, either for insight, inspiration, or just general enjoyment, what media are you turning to these days?
So first off, let me celebrate ADD. I get a and AI. I get I get a briefing 3 times a week from ChatGPT on the latest in AI. So I've scheduled my briefing, and it's great.
Awesome.
On my I have a website that I built to kick off my day every day, and on that website it includes random facts, and that's just pure ADD enjoyment, and it can be anything. It can be something like all polar bears are left-handed, which turns out to be false, but I didn't care because it was interesting. Or wombats poop in cubes, which is true. I like that. So it just gives you like little nuggets of like, here's something interesting. I'm probably knocking out like some important date, like my wife's birthday or something, but I'm picking up little nuggets along the way. So I like that. And then I actually fall asleep every night to the New York Times podcasts.
Ah,
And it's a question of like how far I make it into the podcast. Do I make it through all the way through Ezra Klein, or do I or do I crash halfway through? And I've actually found myself dreaming podcasts where I'm like, I'm in the middle of a lecture. These people aren't like responding to me. Why aren't they responding to me? It's because my brain has brought the podcast into the dream, and like I'm in a lecture, and I'm like, hey, I have a question, and the people are ignoring me. I'm like, what's going on? And then I realized, oh no, my brain just incorporated the podcast that I was listening to directly into the dream. It's just hilarious. So
I,
I love that.
I love that too, and I can totally relate because most nights I also go to sleep to a podcast. Who knows how long I'll get into it? It could be 5 minutes, could be 3 hours. But that's
That.
I do the same thing, so I know exactly what you're saying. So super.
What's your favorite podcast, just so I know? Besides yours, which now, by the way, I'm going to have to follow more regularly.
That's a great question. I really like if I'm thinking about industry podcasts. Oh God, I'm blanking on her name. She used to be the head of foresight for McDonald's, and she lives in Australia. I'm blank
I think I know her. Yes, I don't know who that is. We're going to find
uh,
it.
blanking on her name. But I have always loved that podcast. I listen to it every time. Um,
Perfect.
so that's one. There are some really good music podcasts that I listen to. Um, Often the ones I listen to at night are like the crime serial killer ones where the voice, it's just the voice is soothing. So it's like it's probably not a good thing to feed into my brain as I'm going
You're
to
gonna have
sleep.
some creepy dreams. I tried listening to my Pimsleur learn how to speak Spanish lesson. It didn't work. Uh,
I've tried that too.
trying. That's
Cool.
awesome.
All right, Ed. So we've gotten this far. We haven't talked music. I have no idea what your interest is in music, if at all. But this is the Rock and Roll Research Podcast after all, so we got to cover it. We got to cover it. So picture yourself, Ed. You're stranded on a desert island. You don't have any AI tools. All you have are 3 albums of your choosing to keep you company for the rest of your days. What are those 3 albums?
Okay, before I give you my 3 albums, I got to tell you this. This year, actually, no, last year, I had a major switch in my concert history. I had, starting with last year, I've seen more Taylor Swift concerts than I have Bruce Springsteen. Now, when you look at
Wow.
me, 55-year-old white guy, you're thinking Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
Totally. But I've seen more Taylor Swift concerts now than I have of the Boss. So that's
Impressive.
I thought you'd find that interesting. Okay, here are my three. So first off, I would say that I would prefer to have uh, audiobooks or something like that than music. I'll be honest about that.
Sure,
But
sure.
if I had to have 3 discs, I think about things that if I'm going to be stranded on an island, what are going to make the difference to me, help me keep myself together, help me remind me of the things I love. First one, Abbey Road.
Abbey Road. Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
and here's why. First off, it's the Beatles, and the Beatles are amazing. But also, my family and I went to London, and we went to Abbey Road, and
Oh, cool.
we went to the Crossroad, and it's me, my wife, and my daughter, and we had some other pilgrims take a picture for us, and I'm like, the OCD part of me was like, it's only gonna be three of us, there's gonna be four of us, and some rando walked behind us, and the pilgrim caught it. So somebody played our stand-in George Harrison. Awesome. And so I remember that story. So the album is amazing. And I remember that story about my family. So that's one.
Love it. Love it.
Two, uh, I'm a musical theater nerd. Hamilton.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I love Hamilton. My wife and I went and saw Hamilton for one of our anniversaries. And It's Quiet at the Town always makes you cry. I'm not afraid to say that, makes me cry. And then the
Yes.
last one would be Bruce Springsteen, Nebraska.
Yeah.
And it might be a terrible idea to have a Springsteen album, particularly Nebraska, like on a desert island. That might end my
That's an
time on
interesting
the.
album choice of his catalog.
Yeah, I would be depressed about it, but it's an end-to-end story, and it's stripped down and it's depressing, and he has this way of making things that sound uh, really positive, but if you actually listen to the words, you're like, oh, this is a bummer. Like Reason to Believe, the last song of that album. And it's not a reason to believe. Like these people are idiots for believing. Like, life is terrible. But it is just a perfect end-to-end story. And so I would absolutely take it with me on an island.
Yeah, cool. I love it. Now, how close was Taylor Swift to cracking that top three now?
I really thought about that. I couldn't figure out the album that I'd want, the single album. There's not like there are like when we did the Eras tour, she played for 3.5 hours, and I was exhausted at the end of the concert. Like I can't dance anymore. I loved every bit of it, but there's no single Taylor Swift album that I wanted end to end. Unlike Abbey Road, I would take it end to end. Hamilton, I'd take it end to end. Nebraska, I would take it end to end.
Yeah.
There's no single Taylor Swift, but there's a whole bunch of Taylor Swift songs that I absolutely love.
Yeah.
So I'll acknowledge it. I have no problem saying that. I love Taylor Swift. I'm a Swiftie.
Loud and proud.
Yeah, what the heck?
Right. Let it shine. Let it shine, Ed. It's all good. It's all good. There's no shame.
Hey, Matt, I got to tell you, this is awesome. I love this. I can't wait to listen to more of your podcasts. It was great having a conversation with you, and I really appreciate you do this. This is just a hoot, man.
Hey, it's my pleasure, Ed. I'm so glad you were willing to do it. I do have to do two housekeeping items quickly before we
I'll
sign
keep
off.
away.
First is I want to remind anybody who's interested in Magic Mind. Oops,
I
wrong
need
side.
it.
There you go, Magic Mind. Yeah,
I'm,
great stuff.
I'm ordering some Magic Mind. I'm going to give it a try. I'm with you. And I wouldn't have done it if not for Matt. So there you go, owners of Magic Mind. Know
There
that you
you go.
influenced at least one person to try it.
All right, they'll love to hear this. So I'll make sure they hear it. So go to magicmind.com/RNRLT for a nice discount. So that's cool. Last housekeeping item is just a quick thank you in advance to Joe Emery, who was my guest number 102, episode 102. Joe lives in Austin, and he lives 1 mile-ish from a venue that I'm playing at this weekend. One of my bands is playing a really cool punk rock festival, over 2 days, called Pickle Stock. It's my band, the Chumleys, so I'm going to be playing some punk rock. And Joe has been kind enough to allow me to use his house as a crash bed. So thanks so much for that, Joe. I appreciate
Joe, you're awesome. I would never be cool enough. You've had some really cool people who can play some amazing music on your podcast. I can't do anything. But if you're ever in Minneapolis and you need a EMT for your gig, I'll be your EMT for free. I promise you that.
it. Excellent. Well, if I see anybody consuming gummies at this show, Ed, I will
I've
have
got
it on speed dial. See how quick you can get to Austin.
Hydrate. Eat some nachos.
All right.
Thanks
so
Matt.
much. Thanks so much. It's been such a great chat. Let's definitely talk soon, Ed. Let's keep in touch. Rock and roll.